Congratulations, Davis, on your promotion to Corporal, E4, United States Marine Corps. Now rated to wear the blood stripes down your dress blue trousers and NCO ceremonial sword. Son, you now join 3 previous generations of singers who have not only served faithfully to the best of their ability, but also obtained the rank of corporal. You are a blessing to your family, your community, are better because of you, and we love you. Semper Fi.
Previously on Chat 62.
Great. I was good, man. I'm like, hey, I'm going to Camp Pendleton. I'm going back to California. Life is good. And when I got there, stayed in that kind of like that processing place. It was some barracks, like 1 or 2 days. And they're like, yeah, you're going to 5th Marines.
What?
I'm like, what? Yeah, I was upset. I was trying to call my recruiter. That's how naive I was. I was going to call my recruiter to help me out in the fleet after he already sold me up the river,
Wow.
You need to take this seriously.
Wow. So you got hoodwinked.
Got hoodwinked again. Not once, but twice.
Today on Chat 62, we're proud to welcome back a brother, a warrior, and a true patriot, Corporal Paul Stringer, USMC. His story so far has inspired us with his remarkable journey, and we're humbled to have him return to the show. Paul, your courage, your humor, and your heart has made a lasting impact on our community. We're honored to share your story again. Where were you stationed at?
Yeah, so got to Camp Pendleton and ended up going to 1st Battalion, 5th Marines, headquarters in Service Battalion. And I remember being assigned to Bravo Company as their kind of records clerk to process all their changes and stuff like that.
Okay.
And what was it like interacting with the grunts in Bravo Company?
That place, it was just crazy, dude. I mean, I didn't know what to expect, but it was like, I always tell people, and I'm not joking too much when I say this, like, it was like prison. You know what I mean? Like, there was this mentality of, you got to get hard. Don't go around just saying whatever. It just felt like a very, I don't know, it's hard to describe. You know how it is when you get in and people mess with you. You don't know where you're at, what you're doing. And it's like, do I stab the first person that I see? Like, I don't know. What's my next move here?
Let me get the biggest person in the yard.
That's right. And man, I grew up with an uncle who spent many, many years in the California, prison system.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up before like prison shows and all that stuff, prison gang stuff was popular. That's what I grew up with, just hearing stories about like, corporate and San Quentin and like all these major. So I really did have this mentality of like, hey, like, I'm going to handle my business. I don't know why I'm saying that, but it was crazy, dude. But my first roommate, Andre Cobb, is a big black dude from Little Rock, Arkansas. I don't know if you remember him, Marty. He was kind of getting out as soon as we came back. But shout out to Andre Cobb. That's my brother from a different mother. And man, we had a great time. It was good getting to know him and just sharing our love for food and music and culture. But, on the weekends or on field days, like there's one story that sticks out is I've probably been there a couple weeks, maybe a month. It's in the same barracks that we all end up staying at, Marty, when we got back from Okinawa, 4th floor, 3rd or 4th floor. All of CONAD, we were called Consolidated Administrative Unit, was at the top. And on the other side of the adjacent barracks, you had like Motor T, and then you had the cooks and all the support battalions. Dude, they used to have like these gang wars. I mean, like straight up, like people would just mob in, and I think it was a group of Motor T guys. First, they come over and they snatch a good friend of mine, even to this day, Victor Garcia, out of his, I didn't know him too well at the time. They snatch him out of his room. They bring him back. He's like hogtied with duct tape on his hands. He's duct tape on his feet and duct tape across his mouth. And they're like carrying him around like you would a pig on a spit.
Oh my God.
This is real life. And I'm like, okay, like, is this a joke? But they got homeboy duct tape across the mouth. And Cobb was like, no, like that's, and so they were like kidnapped and they took him back to the barracks. So Cobb was like, hey, that's my boy. They went to Okinawa together. And so he bum rushed the scene. And I'm like, this is my roommate or my cellie. I don't know what to call him at this point. Like, so I'm riding with him. And so we go around the corner, we go to like the home base they had taken him to. And they immediately, and Cobb's, he's a big dude, but 4 or 5 of them jumped on him. Duct tape goes out to start. And it dawns on me, oh crap, I'm next. This is not what I signed up for. But one of the dudes, he was really cool. He was like, hey, he's new, like he doesn't know. So they really like, they didn't mess with me at all. But things got so heated, or like it was going back so much back and forth, that they activated the REACT squad, the 62 area security REACT squad. So we look up and there's like 15 grunts with M16s at the ready, because they thought there was a riot. They literally heard that the report was there was Marines rioting. And so they came in there like ready to stand things down. Everybody's like, whoa, no. We're just playing. We're just having a good time. You know, as they're slowly pulling the duct tape off of the people, like, just kidding. It was just so crazy, you know?
How many years did you spend with 1-5?
Let's see here. Got there April 98, I think. Got to the 62 area probably about like around the same time in 2000. So 98, 99, about 2 years.
Wow.
I guess.
And what were those 2 years like, other than it being like a Animal House?
Well, it's funny. I was just walking back from the bathroom and I thought, man, you know, it probably was a college atmosphere, but in my mind, it was prison. You know, says more about me than it does the place. I mean, it was, you know, it was an infantry, you know, battalion. All the guys that I served with, they had just got back from Okinawa a few months prior to, like 6-7 months before, from their cycle of deployment. Mm-hmm. So they were salty, you know. I remember it was just interesting, dude. You know, like in our office, we had some like grunts and security force guys who were injured. So they were like doing admin work. Mm-hmm. One guy had just spent time down at Guantanamo Bay, and, you know, they were the hard chargers, and, you know, we were just kind of the shitbags who, you know, just nasty admin people and
the pogues.
Yeah, man. You know, so if you kind of extrapolate this whole prison mentality, you know, you get there and the regiment itself was getting new grunts coming in, right? Mm-hmm. And so you do these like these check-in classes, right? Like they get a whole new batch from SOI. You go over their tax withholdings and their SGLI, you know, their insurance information. Probably a PFC, or I don't think yet a Lance Corporal, and you knew that you could bark at them, and because they were still in that like control mode. So I just remember like we were like all on him and stuff like that. But then, as you know, we went as we like would, you know, get people in or replace, you know, get new batches of Marines, so however it was. Yeah, they were just an interesting, you know, group of Marines. You know, I'm very thankful that I got to be with an infantry unit or around the grunts and just kind of have that, I guess, quintessential Marine Corps experience. My dad was in the Air Wing, you know, barely a Marine. I'm just kidding, but he was swinging with the wing, you know, and I was up at the 5th Marines. I remember that there was corporals and sergeants, you know, they would want to come to the office and they want to bark and this and that and tell us about, you know, it's like, I don't care who you are. You know, I don't care. This is my neighborhood. This is my kingdom. So you can take all that somewhere else.
You can leave it at the door.
You can leave it at the door, which, yeah, got me in trouble later on the road. But I remember that, like, they just started testing for like ecstasy or some drug when we were there. And this was the start or the peak of the club scene. And we had just dozens of Marines popping on test and getting kicked out. And, it's just a weird evolution that they had going on there.
Wow. So like how many at a time were like getting kicked out? Like quite noticeable numbers?
I mean, in Bravo Company alone, it was like 20 plus.
Dang.
Which is, I think a company, you're 80 to 90 with full strength. And so it was a significant amount of people that were going out and popping and getting kicked out. So, yeah.
That's crazy. I forgot about that scene. I was with Headquarters Company. We were a whole lot smaller. Headquarters Company 5th. So, we were a whole lot smaller. So, any incidents that did happen, I mean, it was a big thing, but I'm pretty sure with a giant group like a 1-5, I was just like, it's just a normal Tuesday.
That's right. And then, I think you asked about what we were being told about coming in, what the new consolidated admin place would be. I just remember they said they were bringing all the regiments together. I just remember we were just fresh off deployment. So, I thought it was hot shit, already battle hardened and pretty salty at that point. So didn't come into that unit with the best attitude and mind frame and everything like that. Definitely Animal House in the sense of we used to have wrestling matches. I don't know if you guys ever had this, and we used to have WWE style wrestling matches between the personnel office, orders, and then unit diary. I mean, it was insane. They made cardboard cutout championship wrestling belts. And do you remember the old school Ric Flair or the Ultimate Warrior? They were Intercontinental champion.
Yeah.
So they would walk, in, they would have the belt, and it was hey, if you want the belt, you're going to have to, unthrone me. And so that was scheduled wrestling. I'm talking about just either two Marines being forced to wrestle or just get messed with endlessly in a pit, and everybody'd sit around and watch, or sometimes we'd go mob on an office and lock the door. Remember, because you had the bifolding doors, you had the bottom door and the top door, shut both of those, slide the lock, and it was on, I remember you'd have guys starting fights. They would take anything that you said and twist it around to aggravate the other person. Even though you knew they were doing that, it would still work. They'd be hey, Stringer, what's going on? I'm no, I'm just chilling. They'd oh, so-and-so, did you hear what he just said? He didn't say nothing. But they would keep poking and keep instigating until you're well, what do you mean? What if I did say it? And all of a sudden, you got two young kids trying to rip each other's heads off. Too much idle time. Man, I remember, just hanging out in the barracks. It was good times. Love hanging out with the guys and playing music and, going out and getting food. And just anytime you get a couple hundred young guys living together, close quarters, closed spaces.
From all kinds of different kinds of places. Yeah.
Yes, that are trained to kill people, I really, really loved, I think it was Tippin's first episode that you guys dropped. I loved all of them. I mean, I loved learning, and I just had this kind of, remorse. Man, I wish I'd have got to know Navarez more as who he was in his background, but you don't care about that when you're 20 years old. And loved hearing about, Tippin's background and history, and, just coming to the realization that man, the stuff that they're teaching you and the stuff that they're training you to do is different from what most people, do or probably is expected in life. So yeah, man, it was a good time. I think as we got in younger Marines, you just repeat the abusive behavior that you went through, and hazing, and it was just always this never ending cycle to not be on the bottom. I just want to constantly fight for stuff.
Yeah, you were, like you said, you're constantly fighting for survival. You wanted to go up the echelon, and
that's right. Or at least not be on the bottom,
Yeah, definitely.
quickly realized that where we were at on Camp Pendleton was the best place to be. We were up there by Orange County in San Clemente. So yeah, that just began a period of just, I don't know, trying to figure it out.
It felt like college too. I mean, in addition to it feeling like prison, it felt like college as well. It had a college vibe. I didn't go to college during that time, but everything you saw, like in Animal House, movies like that, that's what it felt like at times.
At times it did.
Yeah.
The fraternity.
No, that's right. It was college on the weekends, during the week, going to the office every day. That's where it felt like, at one point, my roommate Cobb, because it is, you just tease people or get teased relentlessly, and I did way too much of that myself. But Cobb was like, "Hey guys, you don't need to mess with Stringer anymore. Homeboy's about to explode," like he's getting ready to probably like go postal, but that was like just becoming a thing. And he was dead serious too, and it was like, yeah, that's probably right. But there's a lot of immaturity, a lot of just unable to process feelings and emotions, but it's great. It was great. I think college is probably the better way to describe it. The office is a little something different, but yeah, man, living the dream, right there next to the beach and everything else.
Did you ever frequent that beach outside San Clemente, or just right outside of Cristiano's Gate, Calafia Beach?
Was that the one that was on Pendleton, or the one that was right off?
The one that was right
in Orange County.
The one right there in Orange County. It's right on the Cristiano's exit. It's right around the Cristiano's exit.
Over the bridge.
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably. Yeah, I remember going to the pier a lot down there. And then you had that right over. That's right. Because off the Cristiano's exit, you go across.
Yeah.
So there's really nice neighborhoods and parks and everything they had over there. Yeah. A lot of time at the beach, a lot of time at the pier.
Good times.
Yeah.
Would you like to share a La Tiendita experience?
Yeah, yes.
I knew you were thinking.
I was like, a lot of time at La Tiendita. No.
Yeah. Hey, first and foremost, thank you guys for doing an episode dedicated to La Tiendita. It's infamous and so well known among thousands of Marines, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody knows that spot. And I was like I was going through your questionnaire trying to like type out some thoughts, and I'm like, dude, La Tiendita changed my life. You know what I mean? Like, and that's not even being funny. I mean, I remember going there the first time, and this was before they did some renovations at some point where they put a tile in, but before it was just
like concrete or something. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And the screen door had like a hinge that was holding on the door. There's flies everywhere, and it smelled a little funky, like they're like, what's that? But then, oh my gosh, you take that first bite of the burrito and you're like, this is game changing. Man, we, through La Tiendita, that really like kindled my love for cooking, ever since lifelong love for cooking, barbecuing and things like that. I remember going, man, just running there for late night burritos, like people making burrito runs. Loved hearing you talk about it, Marty, on your podcast description of that. Encourage everybody to go check that out, listen to it, because I think those experiences you talked about were so true for so many of us, just having that kind of home cooked, that comfort. It's comfort food, man. I remember running out there early as soon as it opened, because we had stayed at the club too much the night before and we're hungover. So it's like, it's 9 a.m., La Tiendita's open. Who's going to go get, a burrito de asada? I remember taking people there and just turning them on to that, just spreading the good news of La Tiendita wherever I could go. And then about the cooking, just going there, and that's where they would have the meat, remember the big trays, the marinated chicken and the steak. And I remember watching the dude do it, and I'm like, hey, I want to get 3 pounds of whatever. And I watched him pull out some Sunny D and some soy sauce and some, onion and cilantro. I still use that carne asada recipe to this day. And just wow people with it. And then I share it with them, because everybody should have the love. And I remember just eating that and just going, man, this is so freaking good. And that just really tied, so many things that my values together as family and food and culture and things like that. Yeah, and then going back, I remember visiting, I'd go home, maybe on leave, or I'd leave the area. And when I go back and eat La Tiendita, it'd run right through you, you had to build up a tolerance to latendita. You had to respect it. You just can't roll up on latendita and act like you're just going to eat it all. No, you need to come humbly.
For reals.
And take it as it is. We can talk more about that, but yeah, just definitely latendita was a focal point, of my 3 years there at Pendleton.
Oh man, good times. Man, I still wish it were open.
I did too.
Yeah, that's a damn shame.
Yeah, if it wasn't.
I'd like to find the people like the family. I'd like to honor them, give them a placard.
For reals.
Do something for them. Like, that would be super cool.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if the family.
Like you said, man, the thousands of Marines, they went in and out of that place, man. It was such a freaking good place. Oh my God. So good.
Yeah. That's where I first discovered Jabritos and horchata. Oh man, life-changing. Dude, I'm serious.
I'm freaking hungry, dude.
I know.
When you were in deployment, were you able to go on the U.S. Essex or on any other ship that they had available at the time, or
So
anything that was crazy during that time?
Yeah, so we did a MEU comp with the 31st MEU, and so at the time that was the USS Bellawood, the AKA block of wood, Vietnam era LSH, whatever the hop carrier where they had a short runway on it, and also a whole bunch of helos. I was in Okinawa for 7 months, went out on ship for a couple different things. In 99, we took the Bellawood down to Indonesia, the island of East Timor. And you had Operation Interfet, International Force East Timor Interfet, that's what it stands for. And that was an Australian-led coalition and deployment force that went down there to help protect the people of East Timor who were breaking off from the Indonesian government. And I don't know if it was tribal or religious things that they had going on, but there were some people getting killed. So we parked right out there in the Bay of Dili, I think it was called. And at night you could see little skirmishes popping off and little fires being set on the hills. And it was kind of cool too, because on the edge of this bay, they have one of those statues of Christ the Redeemer. Like, the huge one that's in Brazil with the arms stretched out wide. They have one there. It's not as big, but it's still a pretty good size. So, yeah, we just plugged up, and the goal was to get aircraft to be able to land there safely at the. It was either the mayor's palace or the presidential palace there for the island. And we were kind of on standby the whole time to potentially go in, since we weren't 0311s or an infantry class position. And so, yeah, that was a pretty big deal. And that was the first time Australia had led any type of coalition forces, especially with the United States partnering there. So that was cool. For being at peacetime, that was like, we got a little war. And so, yeah, because we went on that, we ended up getting like a presidential unit citation and a Navy unit citation. So it was awarded a couple different, but it was all humanitarian relief.
And it was just a typical, the 6 month to 8 month deployment, or did it get extended during that time frame because of that?
No, it was that was kind of like almost in the middle of it. So I think we pumped out in beginning of July, and this was September, October. We had one group that went down to Australia, half of our office, because we deployed as a ConAd, the full admin team. So, and then half went to like South Korea. There was one other place I think people went, but came back from that, like our staff NCO, he had a heart attack, and like I never saw him again.
Talk about the Philippines.
Yeah, dude, the Philippines. Let's talk about the Philippines.
Look at, I can see the sparkle in his eye.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, so on the way back from coming to Australia or Indonesia, we stopped in the Philippines for, I guess it was like 3-4 days. And it was, first off, it was really interesting because we were the first American ship to kind of port and pull in the Philippines in like 10 years. Traditionally, the United States have had a large naval presence over in the Philippines. Up until, I think, the early 90s, they had a President Aquino, or one of the, kind of right-wing conservative presidents came in. He's like, no more American military, like nothing, like kicked everybody out. And so fast forward 10 years later, we get there, and it's kind of a big deal because, hey, there's this huge, U.S. warship pulling in, and we went to the island of Cebu, Cebu, which I guess Philippines has a lot of islands now that I'm describing it out loud. But Cebu is known to be like a tourist and holiday resort town. I guess like it's, just how Okinawa is part of Japan, but it's kind of like the Hawaii of Japan. Same thing with Cebu. It's just people go there, and that's one of the destinations. Did I talk about the people swimming out to the boat and jumping out? And
No.
Yeah. No. So as we pulled in, there was no like dock for any type of large boat. So we end up kind of anchoring there in the bay. And as soon as we did that, you had all of these rafts, and I'll have pictures I can try to send you as well. All of these like rickety boats and rafts, and people were coalescing and just getting around the boat, and like they had their babies, and they were like holding up their babies, asking for money and stuff. Dude, it was wild. They're like, money. I mean, we're like throwing coins at them. I mean, it's like 70 feet down. We're about to hurt somebody, and they're like, man, throw some dollar bills, dude.
Wow.
And then they get on the speaker. You start hearing the chatter, and it's like, the kids don't need to be swimming around that because of the turbines, the ballast, constantly sucking water in, and they're like, you don't want none of that. So that was a really, I think, that was my first experience seeing, I don't want to say a third world country, because I know I don't want to be pejorative or, denigrating about it, but it's just, people not dressed all the way and limited means. And then once we got to the on land, you just saw tent cities and things like that. So it was really stepping into a different world. And then we took the Higgins boats, or what was the boats that launched out of the troop carriers, where the front goes down and you storm the beach, whatever the modern day, they called Higgins boats.
LCACs?
Let me see here.
Are they LCACs? No,
it's just like the ones you'd almost think of in like World War II.
Yeah, I know. I know what you're talking about. They're like land and like in the ocean, and they go into the. Yeah, you know which one they're talking about, right? Yeah. I just don't know what they're called. Yeah,
Higgins boats. Yeah,
Higgins boats.
We all piled up on one of those and came to their loading dock, and we didn't even like go to the front. We had to like climb overboard. It was really rickshaw, and we did that and stayed for a couple of days. So had a couple of hurricanes or typhoons. Did you guys have that experience?
Typhoons, yeah.
Yep.
Those were intense.
And I heard the stories, and I had to see if it was true. So we went and got our not the tarp. What's the tarp liner that you have for your for when you're bivouacking? Where we took the tarp, one person on one end, the other person on the other end, and use it as a sail. Yeah. So the typhoon, and you get on your shower shoes. This is no bullshit. And you get in there and you hold it, and because you're like in these slick shoes, it pulls you along, and you're sailing. I think there's video that you can find of some Marines doing it over there. So that was pretty cool.
In between the barracks of Camp Hansen, where we were staying, that's the perfect place to do it. Yes. And every now and then they would throw a Humvee at the end just in case you went too far. They would be ready.
Be ready to catch you.
Yeah, or you catch the Humvee, whichever was first. I had a tree bust through my window at night one time when there was one going on. But it gets crazy because when a typhoon happens in Okinawa, everyone prepares for like days just in case they're going to be on lockdown. So they'll rush to the PX and they'll clean it out. And so they'll bring it all back, and you're like, oh, okay, I got my stuff. And then you're like, oh, I didn't get everything I needed. Try to go back, there's nothing. So they really take it serious over there, and they shut it down for us, and we're the ones that make it fun. Until something serious happens, right? It gets boring because all you're doing is you're sitting there. You're just waiting. You're waiting for it to just pass on through. Yeah. And it could take a day, maybe two, maybe three. I think for us, we had a 2-day one. And even our power went off. It was miserable. Gets humid, hot.
Now that you're saying that, I think I remember like we did close down shop for a couple of days. Like it was extended time in the barracks. In that right between the two buildings, it creates a perfect vortex. And so along with the wind, it's just channeling all that wind in there. And so
you guys just parasailing.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you would try to run across from barrack to barrack to see if you could just make it on your own.
A lot of people did that.
Yeah.
They just run between barracks buildings, but I'm like, hey, let's find what's the name? It's a tarp, not the tarp, but is that what it is? The big green thing?
The poncho, there's like
poncho
a poncho liner.
Yeah. Poncho liner, yeah. That's it.
Trying to look like Super Mario 64 with the yellow cape, just trying to fly.
Yes. Yeah. Remember buying a lot of clothes. I still have listen, man, I still have a 100% cashmere 3-piece suit that I got in Okinawa. And
for $40. I'm just kidding. It was more than that.
No, it was like a couple hundred or it was, this is, I mean, and it has like Mr. Lee's Taylor on it. It says, I'll have to send you a picture, Okinawa, Japan. It's so killer. I had it tailored at one point, and then I could wear it if I can still wear the top part of it. It looks like one of those hipsters where they wear the small like blazers and stuff like that. But that was cool. I remember this one. Yeah, they were trying to when we would go out in the shops, they tried to sell us like all this busted and like, I wouldn't say it was knockoff, but it was just like, it was too retro, like Adidas, Starter, Nike, like hoodies, the starter jackets, and nobody wants that stuff, but yeah, it was cool.
I remember winning. They would always have raffles at like one of the clothing stores or like areas where you could buy stuff on Camp Hansen. And everyone would get smart and they would go fill out one form, make copies of it, and then throw it in the thing. And you were guaranteed to win if you just showed up. So basically, I won my a nice stereo system that I still have today, and it works just as good as it did when I first won it from that place. I also won my first pair of where were they, lugs from there?
Uggs.
Lugs.
Uggs are the chick shoes.
Yeah, and then my first FUBU jersey shirt. I was like, yeah, I got a FUBU jersey. Over there in Okinawa.
Wearing your pants backwards too.
Yeah. No. I was wearing some baggy ones though with those lugs, trying to be cool. No, man, Camp Hansen. That was a fun time. There was even an older lady that they would just call her Mama San. Mm. But she would be the one that would like iron your camis for you for like dirt cheap, like $5 a cami, top and bottom. And you would just get one pair and it would last you 2 weeks because they would be so pressed well.
Dang.
Yeah. So you would just, when you would get paid, just do them all and you'd be taken care of pretty much. She was cool. Yeah. I remember there would be a line waiting, just people dropping off their camis. Yeah.
She's making some moolah.
She was. Yeah. I'm just thinking about the craziness about haircuts in Okinawa. We, as Marines, have to get haircuts on a weekly basis so we could maintain that military appearance that they expect us to have. Even though the ruggedness would look a lot more stronger, tougher, meaner, all that goodness, right? But they want us to look like, clean, soft, But nonetheless, we have to get a weekly haircut. Within that weekly haircut in Okinawa, if you missed out on an opportunity of getting a coupon that will take off a significant discount on getting a nice haircut from a barbershop, where you just pay $10 rather than the $40. I remember that. And everyone was trying to get those coupons to get the weekly deal, because if you missed it, you missed it. If not, you're getting a barracks cut. And then, and that's what it was for the most part, or you shaved your head just to make it easier.
Right.
So I don't know. I just wanted to add that in there.
No, that's good. The other crazy thing about the haircuts in Okinawa, I just remember, so over there, typically when you get a haircut, they'll do the massage, right? Like they'll get up on your neck and they'll just do all the breaking it down. Well, the key to that was you had to get it on Saturday or Friday. Yeah. Because if you went Sunday and there was a line wrapped around the haircut place, you weren't getting your shoulders did. You know what I'm saying? So, but you get there on Saturday, not too many people there. And just bonus, they'd like work in. So I just remember so many times I get there Sunday and be like, dude, what am I doing? I got to get ahead of the ball here and make sure I get my bonus massage in. But
on the USS Bellewood, that's the one you were on. I'm sure it's like on the US Essex that when we were on it, like talking about little tidbits of stuff. Yeah. And getting a haircut even on ship was a mission.
can imagine.
Because they only, at least on the Essex, they would only allow Marines to get their haircut done on like one specific day. And you had to make sure that either they would like appointments, but if you just showed up and waited in the line, you had to wait in that long line. Yeah. If you got out of it, of course, oh, you lost your line, and then people would get tough. And of course, it would be a little bit more expensive. And then you would try to make friends with the barbers, and then hopefully be like, hey, can you hook me up after maybe or something, like maybe in the shower room or something, like, okay, it'll be $20 or whatever it was, I was like, okay, cool. But it was just cheaper to go bald, to be honest.
Yeah, just a pair of clippers and take care of business.
What I was thinking about is because we were the only two admin people for the battalion. That's where I had my first for real fake ID made. And so whatever the form was, like I had access to that. And so usually you sign it or whatever, and the Marine signs it, and then you're like your perso or like your chief personnel officer would sign off on it. And they would know. They'd be like, what's this for? Or they would check and verify. Well, the person, I had just a captain that I knew with Alpha Company, one of the line. And so he was like the either company, I guess a captain, he'd been the company CO. And I was like, hey, sir, lost my ID, and I just need to go ahead. Well, I told you about the really, really bad fake ID I had with the 1979, the 9 flipped upside down, and it was 6.
Uh-huh.
Well, now I had the real deal, the application. So I just punched that same thing, boom, made it a 6. He was like, and he didn't even think twice about it. He just signed it. And I went to the little ID place there in Ship, and they printed it off, and it was like official government. Because let's see, this is 99. Yeah, so 99, I'm 20. I'm not going to be 21 for about 8 months. So that got me doing some. Yeah, that was great, dude. So
they got you back for the next 8 months, huh?
Yeah. So there was that one staff sergeant over Almanza. Who was the guy? Dingleberry. What was his name?
Well, Little Berry. Yeah. Dingleberry.
When we had an office get together at the beach there, like we did, like had the keg and like barbecue and stuff like that. And he carded me, and I handed him my fake ID. He's like, 1976, huh? Like, yes, Staff Sergeant. Yeah, I don't know if he knew for sure or what, but yeah, that was good to go after that.
You were overseas when they were building the 62 area pack, right?
Correct.
Okay, so what did you hear about what you were coming back to when you were overseas? It was just weird because all of a sudden they're like, oh, you guys are just a part of us, and then we're like, okay, we have to embrace you after we've built something from the ground up, and then like you guys are here, and it's like weird, I remember that. I remember you guys coming all in. Remind us who came with you to the 62 pack.
Yeah, so to the 62 pack, we came back from Okinawa. It was myself, Andre Cobb. He came over and got out a little bit. We had Ryan Hess.
I remember Hess.
Yeah, he was best man at my wedding, and still keep in touch with him until this day. We had...
Not Tenario. Was it Tenario?
Tenario. Yeah. Let's see, who else came back from overseas? Me, Ryan, Cobb, T, Quinones, Marco Quinones.
Hi, Quinones. Yeah, he ended up working with me over in personnel management.
Bro. So Q is another brother from a different mother. Me and him went so hard at 1-5, then Okinawa, and then we got back.
He still went hard.
Yeah, he still went hard after. Okay, so what was the transition from 1-5 to the pack like?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, hearing Almanza talking about us showing up, and I had no idea that you guys had put in manual labor and.
Well, they had them working. I was a senior Marine at the time, but they had them. Man, they had working parties galore. I think Challenger he was their foreman because he had construction experience. So they tore down those crack houses and built them back up to the pack.
Well, that was the first thing. I knew that we were going to go work in the crack houses, which was like, okay. But it was kind of like, I guess, being introduced to like new family, or like, with your parents or your mom or dad marries and you have like new coworkers, but nobody knows each other. In my mind, I'm like, I have to dominate or like assert myself early, and I remember they had, I think his name was Brian Tremp.
I remember Tremp,
Yeah, he was over the SRB, and I think we had gone in around the same time. So where I was kind of the SRB chief for my section, or for 1-5, I knew that he was going to be leading, and he's probably infinitely more competent and qualified at the time and responsible more than I was, but just trying to figure out like, hey, wait, I think I should be doing this. And yeah, it was just really interesting kind of starting to, gel with and meet all these other, we thought we were better than everybody else. We thought 1-5 was the shit. And, it's just a lot of arrogance, a lot of pride and blinding stuff like that. But I remember thinking for the first time, that's when I started to have thoughts about like being a better example, being a good example, like taking my stuff seriously, having a duty to kind of pass on any knowledge and confidence and training to the younger Marines who were there. Yeah, and then it was different because we had like two sides of the building. You were on one side and I was on the other.
I know that it was like two different worlds, huh?
It's two different worlds. Our staff sergeant, shortly after we got there, he found out he wasn't going to pick up gunny. So I think there's like a rule that if you don't get promoted to E7 by X number of years, you discharge.
So after a certain time, he didn't pick up, so he ended up getting out?
He ended up getting out. And, it's just nothing against him. It's just he wasn't a strong Marine leader. I know you guys had some legit sergeants and chief warrant officers or, over where I just always felt like we were unorganized and just kind of like the bad news bearers, that we were the ones that couldn't get on the same page or just lacked discipline. And it was funny, man. After that, we had a master sergeant come in. I'm friends with him on Facebook. I can't remember his name, though. He was super cool. I loved having him around, really kicked back. And then just, the PT running up First Sergeant's Hills,
How long did it take for you to adjust to the pack?
Just in terms of like...
Just with all the personalities. And I mean, before you finally found, okay, this is my place, these are the people who I'm going to work with, or for you personally to gel with the rest of the pack?
Man, that's a great question. I don't know. I don't know if I did ever fully gel. I felt like definitely was a good level of respect and camaraderie there. But man, I remember just being like just off my rocker, just in terms of the speed and intensity of which I did stuff, and it's really disillusioned. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if I'm articulating this the best way, but I remember we'd have cookouts and, like we cook up carne asada. You remember that, Marty? There at the bottom of the barracks, and I'd be getting hammered on Corona and pouring beer all over the carne asada, and we'd be like, I don't like beer. I'm like, shut up. Eat this. We just went to La Tendita and spent like $80 on tortillas and chile and, some good food to eat. Me and Q, we were really tight, and we kind of hung out, and then he got discharged. Ended up hanging out with a buddy of mine. He had family there in Laguna Niguel, and so didn't spend a lot of time up there. But I don't know. As I was thinking about this and hearing some of the stories, I wanted to get Marty's kind of perspective, what he remembers. I remember one of the interviews, somebody said that they were freaked out because Marty was so quiet, and I remember having that exact same kind of impression. Like, here's this big dude with these baby blue eyes. I thought you were like Iranian, Marty, at first. Like, I didn't know, like Middle Eastern, just because of you had the lighter skin complexion. And I'm like, why? And you were really quiet, but observant and looking at me. And I was like, what's going on here, bro? Like, I had a little flashback when I heard somebody describe that. And then I'm like, dude, how was it for them to, like, what were people's impressions of what they remember about me coming into things? So, not gonna hurt my feelings.
I just remember when they said, oh, 1-5 is now back. They're going to go on leave for a little while, and then they're going to all come back and be assigned like to where everyone was going to be. We were just like, well, cool. We just don't want them ruining what we've already established. And I think we had that mindset as young as we were, just because, but we were cool because we were like, we're going to meet some new people, and we knew some other people were getting ready to leave. So it was like, well, I guess this is going to be the way it's going to be. As far as my perspective, it was cool meeting everybody coming on in. I just remember, like you sat closer to the front, right behind the door. I remember at one point when you came to the pack, right? If I'm not mistaken, there was 2 desks. And then there was like the staff sergeant that was there. I don't know if you were there when Little Barry Cook was there, Staff Sergeant Little Barry Cook. Yeah, I always remember that Staff Sergeant just because of the name. And plus his leadership too. It was like, oh, okay, cool. And then he reminded me of Hank Hill from King of the Hill. And he loved country. And that's, I think, where I started listening to it. Like, hey, this is not that bad. I just remember our, like you said, we would have our hangouts. We would play basketball. We would just, I guess, I don't know, like we were just trying to figure out who we were, what we were. And of course, just trying to be cool about it while we were still trying to develop ourselves, you know? So I have pictures. Actually, I was just going through a bunch of stuff these past few weeks that we haven't been recording. I found some pictures, especially some of those little hangouts when we would, I guess I had a camera during that time, and I would snap some photos of us from up top. And although you really can't see, you could see who's there. You know who they are, you know?
Yeah.
At some point, I know we got to scan those and probably just post them now at this point. But yeah, I remember how you and Abreu used to go back and forth with each other sometimes. I remember, and it would be like classic joking stuff, and it would be like, okay, like that was funnier than what he said, and that was, you know, yeah. I mean, yeah, that was our youth. So,
yeah, man, I think you walked out of that place with a PhD and talking,
For real.
like high level black belt. Don't come around here. You're gonna get ripped to shreds.
Yeah. Like it's too dark for my. People say I'm too dark. My humor's too dark, and I'm like, no, it's not. And when I'm with the right crowd, like you guys are like, oh, that's f***ing hilarious, you know, like it's great.
Oh, dude, that's right. Yeah, my son, when he came back from boot camp, he was telling me about some experiences he had that I guess were traumatic for him. I start laughing, you know, and he's like, what? You're just not funny. But in my mind, I'm like, that's hilarious, dude. Like that's what you'd expect Marines to do in boot camp. Man, I remember, we just talked a lot of shit. We didn't have that much to do, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember, man, it was a great group of guys. I mean, you know, I've heard you guys talk about Estrada. Definitely remember him and the impression he made.
Gotta say it right. How do you say his name?
Estrada.
No, you gotta roll that R, man.
Estrada. From El Monte.
Monte.
That's when I got to know Henry Navarez, and we were roommates for a little bit. Cool people. He was young. I remember he used to give me because I used to say like, hey man, like my mom's from Whittier or whatever, you know, and he'd be like, my mom's from Whittier, fool. Like what, you know? So it was just good, man. I was like, you know, a lot of these guys who just like became like brothers, you know, you get to tease each other and mess with each other. Yeah, I met a whole bunch of new guys. That was cool.
I remember we would sit in the office, and I don't know if you were there. You must have been there, and you must have been a part of it or seen it. I don't remember who was it or who did it, but they were throwing M&Ms across one end of the office to the other. And I guess one got launched and it ended up chipping someone's tooth in the back. I don't know if you remember that. Or we would mess around, or I know on Thursdays when we would field day, man, we would be rocking the music and just the office would be field day, like, and then we would go back and field day our rooms, and we'll be like, what are we going to do after this? Because we want to do dirty our rooms, and whose room are we going to kick it in? And I know we would always find a way where we would always be hanging out at the end of our days. So that was always cool to remember. And looking at some of those pictures, I got to really go back, because I was just going through things really quick. But watch, everyone's going to be like, oh, wow, I remember that once they start seeing them. I think I have one specifically with Burnham in it too.
Yeah, I'd love to see any of those, man, that you have.
We want you guys to start sharing too, if you have any, even if you were with 1-5 and there was some people that you referenced on there too. It'll just be great, you know, just to see those faces and just remember where we were and those dumb moments, I guess, or not, or no, not dumb moments. Let's rephrase that.
The moments of our lives.
There we go.
Eric, how old your oldest now? Your child?
My oldest, she'll be 21.
Okay. And Marty, yours is 23.
23. My son's 18. So my daughter, I was still in when she was born, and then got out with just her, and then later on married a year later after I got out with my wife. So then 2003.
Yeah, I was just saying, man, like, so, like, even now you look at your 20-year-old and you're like, dude, you're a kid, and you are kids. So just, I don't know, that life of being, like I was telling Eric before you jumped on, like, just being bottled up with, dudes. If you're all there for the same purpose, but you're just learning how to be around one another and, have your identity and, just your individual, nature. Just establishing that, figuring things out was very formative, time in life. So
I remember a few of those barbecues that we would have, specifically ours, like at nighttime when we were away from like our warrant officers, some staff, all our staff NCOs, and then we had our NCOs that were around, and all of us. It was just cool. But I also remember like going to the park, and I remember like having families, like the families come, and wives would bring their kids, and we would try to make it fun with all of them. And it was, I remember having a moment like that at one point. I remember the beach one. I remember when people would get out, we would either go to Sizzler or to like a Italian restaurant that was like down in San Clemente.
On that main street, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys didn't go to Knuckleheads?
I don't remember Knucklehead. I remember the Cowboy Boogie in Anaheim.
Remember Cowboy Boogie, yeah.
How about you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where was that place you're talking about, Eric?
Knuckleheads was that main street, but it was further down. It was like towards the end of that main street, like where the
Carl's Jr.?
Oh no, way past that, dude. Way past.
Oh, like going down.
Yeah, we're going down towards Dana Point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's where I remember Knuckleheads was at. Yeah, we would have some things down there too when Marines were getting out. But I couldn't drink at the time. Well, this is before the pack.
That should be an episode. It's underage drinking. What the things, who and what was our experience like?
It's not going to be able to be released.
I know.
It's just going to be a lot of redacting. It's going to be a 5-second podcast.
It'll be fun for us. It'll just be fun for us. Because I could tell you, I had a great time with Silga. Oh gosh, there was one more person. Now I can't even remember. I think it must have been there at some point. But we watched that movie Clue. But before that, Brisket was the only one of age that could have, and Silga were the only ones of age that could have gone out to go drink. So basically, and buy us alcohol. So we went to Ralph's, and they were like, just choose the alcohol of choice. And I said tequila. Brisket chose Southern Comfort. He was like, I'm going to get SoCo. I'm like, oh, what's that? Southern Comfort. Oh, okay. Gosh, I forgot. I think Zilga must have got some sort of whiskey of some sort. And we start drinking. Zilga disappears at some point. Brisket and I are just watching Clue, and we're drinking every time someone's murdered, every time someone says a cuss word, every time the music starts, every time we're drinking. The next thing, the bottle's gone. We walk outside. Everyone's pretty much partying outside. Everyone's having a great time. This is one of the first times that I'm totally like down a decent sized bottle. It wasn't a big one. It was just like a decent sized one.
Oh man, I just lost connection.
Editor's note: due to technical difficulties, Paul Stringer's story concludes in episode 18 of Chat 62 podcast. Hopefully, if the one with the wire cutters doesn't kill the internet again.
Shut it down.
Hey everyone, I'm here today and I want to talk to you about something that's really important to us. And that's the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. You can reach them by calling or texting 988.
That's right. We want to emphasize how crucial it is to reach out for help if you're struggling with thoughts of suicide or just need someone to talk to. You are not alone. There are people who care about you and want to support you.
Calling 988 or texting can be a difficult but incredibly brave step to take. It takes courage to reach out for help, but it's often the first step towards healing and finding a more positive path forward.
Remember, you are strong, capable, and loved. You have so much to offer the world, and your life is valuable and worth living. If you're struggling, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can call or text 988 anytime, day or night, and speak to a trained crisis counselor who can provide you with support and guidance.
We want to encourage everyone to prioritize their mental health and well-being. You don't have to go through tough times alone. There are people who care about you and want to help.
So let's work together and create a world where everyone can thrive and live their best lives. Remember, 988 is more than just a number. It's a lifeline. Let's use it and support each other every step of the way.